regular council meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. Present is Council President Sean, Councilmember Curtis, Councilmember Upper Chase, the City Clerk and Treasurer, DPW Director, Mr. Bernier. I don't have anybody else, and Andy Touchette from the Fire Department and Commissioner. Next item on the agenda is additions and deletions to the agenda. President Fashon?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curtis?
No, thanks.
Councilmember Upper Chase?
No, thank you.
I have an addition to the agenda, please, which I would like to put on right after this addition, deletions to the agenda. There is a typo on the warning, and so we need to make a correction to that typo and then proceed with authorization for the issuance of the corrected warning. The intent stays the same, and we will discuss that as the next item. Treasurer, you good? That's the same thing, right?
Same thing.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda will now be the new number 3, which is the warning. And if you will please look at Article 6, which is what we had in the warning. It said, shall the voters of the city of Newport, Vermont, let me get the old one, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Shall the voters of the city of Newport, Vermont appropriate the sum of $49,847, same amount in parentheses, to News NEWS of Vermont, in parentheses, Casella, to support recycling in the city of Newport, and direct the city to assess a tax sufficient to pay the same. What we need to do is just take out of there the words to News of Vermont, Casella, and it will now read, shall the voters of the city of Newport, Vermont appropriate the sum of $49,847, same amount in parentheses, to support recycling in the city of Newport and direct the city to assess a tax sufficient to pay the same. Okay. So may I please have a motion to approve the change in that language and authorize the treasurer to issue the warning?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, comments?
What happens if the cost of the recycling center exceeds that, if it is that the city does approve the appropriation?
Thank you for your comment. Further discussion? This is a comment period, so you could ask questions if you like, but it's just comments. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the regular meeting minutes of January 27, 2025, the AP warrants of January 31, 2025, and January 31A, 2025, which is the amendment, liquor licenses, vendor permits, and special events. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
The motion, the second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Comments? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Newport City Elementary budget presentation, and I recognize Mr. Lawson. Thank you.
Great. So we want me right here?
I want you right there.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks again. It's a yearly tradition for me to come visit you, Mayor, council members, Newport City residents. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share a couple minutes with you and talk to you about our community school and our proposed budget for the 2025-26 school year. I'm Aaron Larson. I am the proud principal of Newport City Elementary School. Each school day, Newport City Elementary is home to approximately 300 of Newport City's children in grades pre-K through 6. We are proud of our students and staff who work hard every day to educate our students, not just in the areas of academics, but also in social emotional skills that are needed to be successful. Despite the high rates of students living in poverty and high rates of students in need of extra support, such as special education, we maintain our focus on our school mission, which is to educate the whole child to become a caring and productive participant of the community. I'm here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the school's budget and the impact that it has on students, staff, and the community, including taxpayers. This past summer, we were able to replace a roof on half of our school, thanks to a bond vote that voters approved last year. It's a tremendous relief to have that project complete and have the peace of mind to know that it's taken care of and our students are safe. Thank you for passing that bond vote. This year, the focus of our budget is on maintaining the integrity of our programming for students. We are not looking to add positions or do major projects for the upcoming year. This year, we are proposing a total budget of $8,217,575. That's up $584,942 over last school year. This is a 7.12% increase. However, because of the way the state funds education, there's not always a one-to-one correspondence between school spending and taxes. Due to a gain in the long-term weighted students for next year, our spending per long-term weighted ADM, which is average daily membership, is up only 0.36%, which is really good. That means that with all three budgets, elementary, which is the only one that I have a part in, junior high and high school combined, as proposed, the residents will only see a 0.73% increase in their taxes due to education. This is the equivalent of $26 increase in taxes for a home valued at $200,000. The reason there's any increase at all, despite keeping our services level, are factors such as statewide health insurance increases of 11.9% for all staff, as well as anticipated increase in wages for teachers and staff. This is a negotiations year for teachers and staff, and these anticipated increases will be necessary to attract and retain high-quality educators. Once again, the school board and administration have worked closely to strike that balance between providing the resources necessary to provide a quality education for our students, while not dismissing our responsibility to the taxpayers of Newport City. An additional item that I wanted to mention is that on the ballot this year, we'll have a question asking voters to approve the school to move a fund balance, transfer a fund balance of $310,000 into a building and maintenance fund. Transferring this money will allow the school to fund important projects such as replacing the fire alarm system and maintaining the school building without having to ask taxpayers for additional funds. Moving this money does not cost the taxpayers any additional money. We strongly encourage interested parties to attend the budget information session that will be on Tuesday, February 25th at 5:30 at the Newport City Elementary School Library. This meeting is open to the public, and we encourage as many people to attend as are interested. The school board and administration will be presenting the budget at that time, and then at that time we will be fielding questions from the public. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you about our school and the budget that we are proposing this year.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, next item on the agenda is the school and city lease. There's a potential vote and a potential executive session in 1 BSA, section 313A1F, and section 313A2. We have a lease that we would like to have approved before we decide whether we're going to go into potential executive session. Our city attorney, David Rue, is on the line. David?
Yes, Mayor and Alderman, it's nice to see you. I didn't know if councilors had questions about the draft lease agreement that they'd like to ask me. If so, if it gets technical, then we might want to use an executive session. But if there aren't many questions and everything seems self-explanatory, we can address them in open session.
Council members, does anybody have any questions that you?
I can just start with the background so everybody knows. The school property is Newport City Elementary School property, and as we discussed, I think at a meeting back in August, is owned by the city of Newport. The city of Newport, under its charter, has a unique relationship with its school district and its elementary school district that only a few other cities in the state have, and it is appropriate for the city to be the owner of the school property, but that causes some issues with insurance providers, so the lease is needed in order for the school district's insurer to cover the elementary school in the event of an accident or other incident. So that's the purpose for this lease. It is, the rent is $1 a year. It's a year-to-year lease, which council can approve under, I think it's section 27 of the charter, if I have that correct. So.
Okay. Questions?
No questions.
So then may I please have a motion to approve the lease agreement with the Newport City School District and to authorize the mayor to execute the lease agreement. And just so you're all aware, and our city council can confirm, section 27 of the charter allows this type of lease, a year or under, to be authorized.
I can make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Councilor Root, is it all right if I sign this and send it to you so that you can then send it over to the attorneys for the city?
That's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
My understanding is the school board will be taking this up next week. So.
Perfect, thank you. So all I need is the one to sign.
Did I take it from you?
I think so.
Hold on.
Maybe not.
That's not it. This way.
That's it. Thank you. Treasurer, I'm going to sign this, so you notarize that for me. Thank you. So you'll have that and everything is in play. I said we get it done in February.
We meet 1 week from today.
Right,
It'll be on our agenda.
excellent. So, I'm gonna give you this.
Okay.
Will you scan this to David?
Yes.
Thank you. And then that will go back to the treasurer to keep in his. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Ethics Commission Liaison appointment. You'll notice that we have an ethics discussion and on 3 different line items. This one, before we get into it too deeply, I just want to let everyone know that as of this point in time, our council member Upper Chase was the liaison, and that was because we didn't have an employee who was going to be it, but Travis, our police chief, has said that he would be willing to do that. So after we hear from our attorney, then I would like to make that motion to allow that appointment to happen. Counselor?
Yes, I have no concerns about appointing the police chief as the liaison. I think, I don't know the extent to which council is familiar with this new law, but the legislature back in July enacted a new municipal code of ethics that governs all municipalities in the state. That code trumps all existing charter provisions or policies with respect to the people that are subject to the code of ethics. The legislature has defined the scope of those who are subject to this new municipal code of ethics. In general, it applies to all municipal officers, and that includes individuals down to the department head level within the city. There is a designated complaint recipient required that needs to be appointed as part of the law, as well as a liaison who separately and independently is to work with the State Ethics Commission. I think this law went into effect January 1, so it's many of our municipal clients are going about adopting ordinances and policies to implement it over the next coming months. All counselors and other staff in the city are supposed to review an ethics training sometime in the next 5 months as well, and keep that recorded. Importantly, the new municipal code of ethics has a broader application than almost all prior policies that went into effect, in that it requires municipal officers to avoid any conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest. Prior to this law being enacted and going into effect, the appearance of a conflict was not an actual conflict and never subject to most municipal policies that we have seen. So the law contains a definition of what a conflict is, and it's to be strictly adhered to. Individuals, if they're worried about whether they have a conflict, can seek opinions from the Ethics Commission. The official who receives a complaint, once the city designates a complaint recipient, can investigate and determine whether the complaint has merit. It can direct at least non-elected municipal officials to step down if they have a conflict or not act on a matter. For elected officials, you can ask them to recuse themselves, but it is in their own discretion whether they want to recuse themselves. In cases where they do not recuse themselves, a written statement needs to be filed that will be kept presumably in the clerk's office for a number of years. VLCT and a few others have proposed ordinances to establish procedures for investigating complaints and enforcement. Some towns are adopting that as a policy, some are adopting it as an ordinance. We haven't taken a position on which way to go. Sometimes it depends on the adoption procedure in the given municipality. The nice thing about an ordinance is it gives it a little bit more authority than just a policy, which is usually inward looking. And we can work with the city to craft and adopt an ordinance in the coming weeks if that's the way it wants to go. So this is a new world for all municipalities, and we're just trying to get everybody signed up and in compliance as quickly as we can, understanding that it takes some time to adopt policies and ordinances and to put these procedures in place to ensure that municipal officers don't have conflicts and don't act in situations where they even have an appearance of a conflict. So, one of the issues that the council needs to be aware of is that the law is now significantly broader than it was before as to what it applies to.
Thank you. So, Counselor, if you're okay, I'd like to have the motion made to appoint our police chief as the liaison, and then I'd like to come back to discussion from the council for any other questions. I do want the public to know that every council member has completed the ethics training already, that our Justice of the Peace, Ms. Lads, and our Commissioner Dennis Chanette has also completed the training, and I have emails from people who are saying that they are going to be taking the training. But all of the council members have completed this training. So may I please have a motion to appoint Police Chief Travis Bingham as our new liaison appointee to the Ethics Commission.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Comment? Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And I will let our police chief know. Thank you. I know he doesn't feel well. He was out ill today, but he did tell me that he was willing to do this. So we're not just doing it because he was out ill today. So now I'd like to go into allowing our, because we do have on agenda now the new 8, the ethics complaint recipient appointment, and then on the new 9, the enforcement of the municipal code of ethics with a discussion. So I'd like to allow our council members some time to have a discussion with our attorney. If you have any questions, any thoughts, anything you don't understand, anything you want clarified, he's here for us. Anyone?
Just who can be appointed to that is I think my only question.
To the recipient appointment?
Yes.
Okay.
It is, hold on, I'm trying to get to the correct part of the statute. Any municipal officer or body can be appointed to receive complaints. We think that it's okay, it's best to have a staff person, often authorized to be the ones as the complaint recipient, because they are generally more accessible and working during regular business hours. They also do sometimes have issues with seniority, so there's sometimes a backup complaint recipient appointed that might be a member of the council. The reason is sometimes people aren't comfortable talking about conflicts their immediate supervisor has, or maybe a counselor is not comfortable talking to staff about a perceived conflict that another counselor has. So really anybody can be a complaint recipient, but the statute recommends that it be a department head or employee.
Thank you.
Or a board or commission member, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There's a variety of positions that can be that complaint recipient. It includes the chief of police as well.
Right.
But since he's the ethics liaison, he doesn't necessarily have to be the recipient, he can be. But
And so I was looking through the definitions, and maybe you can help a bit here, because it also says that a member of a quasi-judicial body could have that appointment,
yes, I believe that's correct.
right? And also a cemetery commissioner, the clerk.
Yes.
So
Pretty much anybody could serve as this responsibility. But I think it should be someone in a more senior position.
like the treasurer.
Like the clerk or you know, the interesting thing is that
Tom's more senior than I am.
aside from who is going to be appointed the complaint recipient, it's what this doesn't apply to. That is fascinating to some extent, in that it does not apply to school officials. You wonder why, and really I think some may say it was due to lobbying, but I think too, if it applied to school officials, nobody would serve on a school board, because everyone on a school board has a kid in their school. Therefore, they automatically would have a conflict with every decision that is before them, because it would affect a family member. So that's the reason why we think that school boards were excluded from this. But as far as complaint recipients, there's a broad range of municipal officials who could help that role.
Okay. And so I think, I won't say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So I think we can all agree it won't be the constable. So how's the treasurer up for this? If not, we could ask the clerk.
How about 50 bucks an hour for that? No, I don't mind doing it.
You don't
I
mind.
can be sure. It's not a big deal.
So, what are your thoughts, council members?
I didn't hear.
He said he would do it. What are your thoughts? Did you have anyone that else you'd like to recommend, or would?
I just didn't want to do it.
Okay, so good, because you could do it for 15 days. So, what is your thought on that? I
Chris wants
think
to do it.
right now, no, he doesn't. I think right
he
now,
doesn't.
I think the most stable and long-term person who understands what's going on, I would ask for a motion that we appoint the treasurer to be the complaint recipient. So appointed. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion is carried. Here,
Oh,
here.
boy.
Oh, boy.
Thank you. I will email all the appropriate ethics commission people, copy you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me add too
Sure.
that if the city has not done this yet, There are a few things that need to be posted on its website, including the code of ethics, the procedure we adopt to handle enforcement of complaints when we get to that point, and then any supplemental rules or policies regarding ethics that the city may adopt. So the next step is we will talk about in a couple weeks getting a policy or ordinance in place to handle investigations of complaints and enforcement, and then we will put that on the city's website. For municipalities, most of the enforcement is internal to the municipality. You don't go to the state ethics commission and ask them to determine or judge whether there's a conflict or anything like that. It's all handled internally with the city. So.
Thank you. And I believe that from my discussions, Counselor, that the Ethics Commission has before the legislature right now, they're discussing whether or not where enforcement is going to lay. So this year we may, over the next 2 years, hear something that comes out of the bill.
Okay, I think they couldn't decide that. And, under most municipal policies, municipalities handle it themselves now anyway. So, I'm not going to opine on whether we should be trying ethics complaints before a state board or not. That's a different inquiry.
Right. So I would like, I think we should have a motion to have our city attorneys put together our ordinances and codes so that they can begin to work on this now, if you're good with that. Could I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion to authorize our city attorney to put together appropriate ordinances and other policies and procedures that are required for the city to be in compliance with the new code of ethics. I have a motion and I have a second. Comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Can I ask
Oh, I'm sorry. I take it back.
Dave, we're gonna have to do these appointments again after town meeting, or are they starting now?
These should be good.
I think that you're good. They are not, they're not part of the city's annual appointments as designated in the charter. It's all by statute.
Okay,
And the charter, the statute trumps the charter in this regard anyway. So.
okay.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion is carried. Good try, treasurer.
If the clerk treasurer would like to resign on March 5th, they have to deal with this as part of an annual appointment.
That idea had entered my mind.
Okay, so, any further questions or discussion for our attorney on this? Or can we move on? Good. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a union employee matter executive session, 1 VSA section 313A1F. May I please have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a union employee matter and to invite our city attorney.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion
I
is,
believe, Mayor, I believe we have to make another motion.
okay, so I was going to do that, but then I was told I didn't have to if you were just gonna kind of listen to what was, you don't have to come in on this, it's up to you. I know you're there, so I didn't want to not invite you.
Oh, no, I wasn't gonna come in, but I was thinking that because it's under A1F, I think you need to make a motion that a premature general public knowledge of the discussion and evaluation will put the city at a substantial disadvantage, and then from there you can make a motion to go into executive session.
Okay, so I'm gonna withdraw the motion. Withdrawn,
If
second.
you would like, I can give you the motion language.
I have it, thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to find the premature public general knowledge of the confidential attorney-client communications made for providing legal services to the city council will place the city at a substantial disadvantage because disclosure of the otherwise confidential advice and communication would harm the city by waiving the city's attorney-client privilege, 1 VSA section 313A1F.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. May I please now have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a union employee matter under 1 VSA section 313A1F and invite our city attorney in. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Next.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion is carried, and we are in executive session. We are out of executive session, no action was taken. The next item on the agenda is the water and sewer budget with a potential vote. So I do want everyone to know that voting on the water and sewer budget is not mandatory, it is just a choice of council. We did vote it on it last round, but that was, I believe, the first time it was ever voted on. Okay, council members, this is for you to have your, any discussions that you would like, that's what this is about. And I'm gonna ask if there are any questions, and I'm going to let council member run with it.
I have some questions, but I'm happy to hang back if you want to start.
Is someone presenting? You're
Oh,
presenting?
no, it was just
Who's
just
presenting?
nobody. It's
Just questions.
just questions if you have. We've already looked through this over and over, but council member Alfred Chase is here as well. I know that he and the president worked on making sure that all the numbers were put in appropriately, and so if you have questions, why don't you just start and figure out here.
I can just note some things if that would be
Yeah,
helpful.
that- I think it would be.
Would that help? Okay. So what we know is that our proposed total budget for 25-26 is actually roughly 10% lower than last year's. Make sure I have that number right. Anyway, it's this year, if you look at total sewer and water income, which is the amount of money we're going to have to raise, primarily through rates, right, is 2.696 million. And last year, the proposed budget called for 2.976, so a considerably higher budget last year than this year. The primary reason for that, in my judgment, is the amount that we backed out of the water and sewer budget that went into the administration budget that we approved for the operations of the city. That was, you know, a much smaller percentage of the city manager and city office administrator salaries, and a significantly lower percentage of the salaries from the treasurer clerk's office. So that's how we got to a lower number. Having said that, that number is, it's still, as I understand it, I've been trying to do these numbers or going back and forth in my own head. It still looks to me as if the last year where we have actuals that we can look at prior to audit showed, let me just make sure I get this right, up at the top under sewer income where it says sewer user fees, prior to the audit from last year, we are looking at 1.122 million is what we raised from the sewer user fees. And this budget proposes that we would need to raise 1.443 million. So significantly more than we took in that fiscal year 23-24. And if you look below under water income, where it says water rents, the first line, we have the same issue where the actual in 23-24 prior to audit is 781,000, and we're proposing that we need to raise 945,000. So if you add those numbers together, we're actually looking at the difference between those actuals and this proposed budget, if my math is correct, is $485,000 that we're going to have to address somehow. So that's the first challenge that we've got. The second challenge that we've got is that none of this addresses the other problem that we've talked about quite a bit, which is that over the last several years, we have run deficits deep and long enough that we no longer have a reserve, and we're living anywhere between, at the moment, I think we're at what, 1.4 million roughly on the line of credit, and we've been as high as 2.4 million. So we've gone from a roughly $1.5 million reserve several years ago to, you know, depending on when you try and take your little number and figure it out, somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 to $2.5 million deficit. So this, so far, does not address that deficit or try to replace any of that, try to get us off the line of credit or replace the reserve. So that's the second thing I would note. And then the third is that I would like to have significant conversation at this meeting and the next one about the process by which, once we agree on what the number is that we have to raise the rates, what's the fairest way to go about raising the rates given the current inequity, the current reality, which is that we have 1,100 people on meters and we have roughly 700 people who are not yet metered, and they're being charged in different ways and at different rates right now. So those are the three, from my perspective, those are the three presenting things that we really need to try and take seriously.
Yeah, including the types of classifications under the meters and other extraordinary circumstances.
Yes, which is kind of why I say, you know, I'm really looking for a conversation about process when it gets to the rates, because my assumption is that there's a lot that I certainly don't know about how rates are set appropriately and what the legal ramifications are. So I don't feel educated enough yet to try and make those decisions.
And I would recommend that that discussion is done separate and apart from this evening, that it really is a process with legal input and the treasurer's input, and it's a full discussion whether you do a special meeting or not.
Yeah.
Okay, that you keep that in a thorough, give yourself plenty of time for that, and bring in the appropriate consultants that we've already begun to speak with.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I saw tonight as a night to make those questions and get that list out to the people who need to get that
Good.
stuff. My overarching question is, since it's an enterprise fund, we can only take in what we need to pay things. Does that include the debt, filling in the debt as well? Can we increase the rates so that that rate increase lowers that debt over time, or is that not something we can do?
It would have to be a special assessment, I believe.
That's
In other words,
correct.
the rates wouldn't do it, you'd have to have a special assessment. You know, like $30 a year or something from everybody to get that down.
Oh, okay.
Separate from the rates, I believe, is the way it works.
I've been staring at these numbers.
Forever, I know you have been. Now remember, as I said, this is something that you can vote on if you so choose, or you don't have to vote on. This is your choice. This is up here right now for discussion for the council and the treasurer, of course, who is vital to this process. Any other questions or?
I'll speak to it.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jim, please.
I can say, we just calculated the bills today for the next billing period.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, we average between $430,000 and $440,000 a quarter. We're billing $580,000 this quarter, but that's a rate increase on top of the rate increase before this, too. So, if we say we got 500,000 the first one, that's $1,080,000, and then 1,200 more, that's still a little bit short of what we need, if you add the two together, short of what we need. But then, if we don't have the actual what last year was either, yeah, so we don't.
Right, and those would be coming.
So I know in the past, there was a water commission that was put together to look at these numbers over time compared to the actuals and proposed to look at other cities. Is that something the city wants to look into, is my question.
So I think that would be part of the discussion
Right.
that you have in that one special or other meeting. It doesn't have to be a special meeting, because I've heard you're not gonna have any more of those, right? Because you and I are, and so that you have that at that particular meeting, and you decide, and if you do decide to have a water commission, I would recommend that you bring in the professionals to be part of that, if you do decide to go that route.
I think that's where I'm at personally.
You're saying you don't want them all on it, right?
Well, I would love to get this further, but until we have actual numbers, I feel uncomfortable guessing at numbers again.
I think that's a wise choice.
All right. So if there's no further questions, we will move on. The next item on the agenda is comments by members of the public. Okay, we want to remind everybody that these are comments about items that are not on the agenda, and that members of the audience are reminded that members of the press are present and that these proceedings are being recorded for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. Members of the audience are further reminded that Newport Bless You City Council meetings are for the purpose of allowing council members to conduct city business. City council meetings are the only time the city council discusses, deliberates, and decides upon city matters. City council meetings are held in public to promote transparency and accountability in government, but are distinct from public hearings or town meetings in that they are not meetings of the public. Members of the public shall be afforded a reasonable opportunity to express opinions about matters considered by the city council. To conduct orderly and efficient meetings, I kindly request the public's cooperation and compliance with the published guidelines when participating in the meeting. Thank you. So, please remember, these are comments. When your name is called, please speak into the microphone, state your name, residence, or affiliation. For those people online, I am aware that you're not going to come here and speak to the microphone. Okay, I ask that once again you speak through the mayor, and that if anybody is disrupting the meeting, they will be asked to leave. You will have 2 minutes for your comment. President, would you check it out? Okay. Ms. Hopkins?
Oh, there's somebody on before me.
It's like all over the place.
Oh, okay.
Apologies, because as
Okay.
people were texting, I was just writing their name down.
Okay, Jennifer Hopkins, resident of the city. My question is the same as I always ask, which is the status of the personnel policies that were supposedly going to be reviewed. I believe it was March of last year, and so we're almost a year into it. And I will, if the mayor will allow me, make a comment. It would be really nice if the citizens had a copy of the revised sewer and water budget that you just mentioned, because I don't have those figures and I thought I had the latest figures. I just thought it would be nice if we could have them on the website. That's all.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Bierling?
Yes, so I know you're not going to answer my questions, Madam Mayor, but I'm going to pose them anyhow. So my first question is, where is the audit? The audit has never been delayed this long, ever in history that I'm aware of. And I'm hearing the council trying to make decisions about setting not just the general fund budget, but also the water and sewer budget. And the actuals that they're working with are, there's no integrity to them without the final numbers in the audit. And I think it's deplorable that you guys don't have the audit yet. And I want to know why. In reference to the deficit from the water and sewer, I know there's been talk about potentially getting a loan to cover the deficit that is owed to the general fund. And I guess my question would be, if the city were to get a loan, pay back the general fund, wouldn't that then become part of the expense, the operating expense of water and sewer, and therefore qualified to be put into the rate structure? And then the last question I have is this newfound city ownership of Newport Elementary School. I'm wondering if there is any impact on grants that were previously awarded to the school conditioned upon the school's ownership of the property. And we've never had any information come to residents in that regard. And I'm wondering if we're going to be hit with some sort of an unfortunate problem in the future in that regard. So I know you're going to say thank you for your comments and move on. And I just wanted to get that out there because these are questions that are important to the residents and we deserve answers. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The one thing I do want everybody to understand is that auditors control their audit. The next person, please, Ms. Sherrill.
Hi, I'm still back on trying to increase your income and decrease your expenses on water and sewer. So what I don't hear anybody mentioning again is the Vector, the sinking Vector fund, or the Vector sinking fund. It was $70,000 on water side and a similar $70,000 on the sewer side. If you don't put in for the Vector, that's $140,000 off the $500,000 discrepancy between income and expenses that you can do. So why would you put into a sinking fund when you can't even pay the bills? Don't put into the sinking fund this year. Deal with that as a loan or whatever you need to do eventually. Get it straight. Let's get this straight this year. The second thing I wanted to talk about, which I've never really explored fully, is, discharge fees stay the same in the budget each year. I wonder what they are. Can we raise the discharge fees for people? Just the same as we think about raising the sewer and water user fees, and that might generate some income. I'd ask you also not to forget that we found out another aspect of water meters. If water meters are tampered with in any way, or if they're in disrepair and they're not working right, we saw what happened with the prison. I don't know if we fully resolved what happened with the prison in terms of what caused it over a 7-year period, why the reporting was so poor about it, or it didn't get to the right people, or the right people didn't do anything with it over all those years. But I wonder how many situations we have out there, particularly of the big guys. If my meter wasn't working right, I'd probably tell you about it anyway, but a lot of people wouldn't tell you if it's too low. They tell you if it's too high. But it's still a small amount. But there are some big businesses out there. There's the hospital, there's the prison. And if any of their meters aren't working right, we're not bringing in the right amount of income. So please, would you think about setting up a system so that somebody is monthly or so looking at, does this amount of money that we're getting correspond to the monies that we've gotten in the past? Or should we send somebody out right away and look at that meter? And let's bring in all the money that we can. So those are 3 extra things that I've thought about since I last said off my mouth. Sorry.
Thank you for your comment. And just so everybody's aware, county practices and monitoring changes are taking place, in the treasurer and I have been working on that, and it will continue, is the hopes to go forward. Appropriate separation of duties and appropriate monitoring and different policy changes, as well as recommendations that have been worked on with the auditors. Ms. Lack?
No comment necessary.
Ms. Green?
Sorry, trying to get off mute. My first comment is about the recycle center. You may have answered the question with the conversation earlier in the evening, but I really wanted to make sure. I know that maybe only a smaller portion of the residents of Newport actually use it, and of the, I think, $75,000 total budget, it's really about $49,000. It sounds as if, from the change in the warning, that it's going to be, this is really a way for the citizens of Newport to tell the city and the council that yes, we want it, or no, we don't. And that if the answer is yes, we want the recycle center, that it's allowing the city to then put that money back into the budget. So I really wanted just to make sure that I heard correctly earlier in the meeting. And my second comment really is I am interested in the conflict of interest and the ethics, and I'm hoping that we can have some more conversations about where some of these things are going. It's sometimes a little bit more difficult to find information online. I don't know. I am going to do the training as the grand juror. I think that's my title. So we plan on doing that training, but I'm hoping that there'll be some other information out there as well. So,
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is new business. President Fashawn?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Price?
Yep, I was here this morning briefly with you about a call I got about mailboxes being, a certain mailbox being hit by the plow truck 3 different times. And I just wondered if you have, I need to call that person, if you have an answer for me.
Yeah, I forwarded that information over to the department head for DPW, and I'm sure that, I'm waiting for a response, but I just forwarded it to him today. So as soon as I hear back, I will get you that information that you can give to the constituent. I also called that particular constituent because he had called and left 2 messages on the machine, and I got his voicemail. So as soon as I get that information, we will get that over to you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not done.
No, it's okay. You don't need to apologize.
Something I'm struggling with, and it's about Rick, this conflict of interest. I am not delicate in saying things, and don't take it as a personal attack, but I've been kicking myself for a couple of weeks over the voting on the budget and then the voting on the grant. And I don't think it was right that you voted on them, and here's why. A lifetime ago, I was the chairman of the review board, and every application, it was asked if anyone at the table had a conflict, and on occasion someone did. I'm best friends with this person, I'm a butter, etc. And then my request to the mayor for liaison positions has been that She doesn't appoint me to the police or the fire because I have a son-in-law that is on both. And I don't think I need to be the liaison to both. They're gonna function very fine without me. What I think of is Mayor Manette, who sat where our current mayor is. And every time the word library was mentioned, I think he did an awesome job. He didn't try to sway a vote. He might have read the agenda, but as perhaps an alderman and mayor, because he was on the board at the library. And in watching the training manual, the video, I watched it twice, and I thought of you because it bothered me that you voted. And I was hoping to have a private conversation. Even this morning, we met on the stairs. I was in a hurry. Well, you were in a hurry. But I think it was a conflict because I've run into a couple dozen people that have asked me, why did he vote on the budget? It wasn't really an issue with the grant. It was a little bit to me, but it was.
Can you just specify? I'm not sure what you mean by the grant.
Last week, the Walmart money that we set aside for the TIF district. Sorry. So is it a perceived?
For White and Burke.
Sorry.
The money was set aside for White and Burke.
Yes.
Yeah, for the lawyers too.
And believe me.
But I just want to make sure that we're talking about.
And believe me,
those.
I have, I wrote something at the beginning of January that I'll read before my term is up, but I'm praising the Newport Downtown Development Group and everything they've done. But is it a perceived conflict by the public? Yes. Is it a real conflict that you voted on the budget? I believe it is, because no matter how you try to designate the $30,000, you can't say that none of that money is to your salary, etc. And I've thought about it even more because perhaps you are our next mayor. And I'm concerned that if you don't grasp the conflict now, what might occur, right? We can't say what you might do or may not do, but it concerns me that, my words, if you're not grasping the conflict now, what might occur if you're mayor? And I have nothing to hide. My thought is that.
So I'm gonna just roll this back into conflict concerns of things that are going on as opposed to future political discussion.
So I guess I'm wondering if you don't see the conflict, we'll agree to disagree. But I think you'd look like $1 million if you said, you know what, I don't think I should have. And especially after I watched the training video. I mean, I knew it before, but the training video with the new laws reassured, talks about someone plowing snow and a neighbor and all these things we watch. I just think it's a conflict. It's nothing, it just happens to be you. You're the Newport Downtown Development Director. And I just think it's a conflict. I would think it would help you if you say, and you don't have to say this, these are my thoughts, that perhaps you should have recused yourself, and that in the future you'll do your best to do a better job at it. That's all. And it's me, but I've encountered a couple dozen people, and I don't mean to say it the wrong way either. It's just what guy with a mailbox called me, and so I encounter people, and that's just what I'm hearing. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Council member Patrice, do you have any?
Nothing to add.
Treasurer?
No, nothing.
Okay, old business. President Bashan?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curtis?
No thanks.
Councilmember Chase?
No, thank you.
Treasurer?
None.
The only thing I'd like to say is that I've seen some buzzing out there, and people always write things and say things about operations and what's going on. And I saw some letters to the editor, I see a lot of letters to the editor, that said that the people who work at the recycling center are going to be fired. Okay, please don't spread those types of rumors. That is an inaccurate statement. Okay. So better to let the operations be done where they're supposed to be done, and then if those issues do come up, we will address them appropriately, but nobody's being fired. Okay, the next item on the old business that I want to bring up is I know that there's a lot of fear factors going on out there with safety, and the police chief and I are discussing all of this, and I want everybody to be rest assured that the city streets are safe and that our police chief and his department are doing everything to make sure that nobody is going to be in danger, and everybody knows how to reach him. So if you have a fear, please reach out. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to the president of the council, and we will get those issues over to the police chief. No one should be afraid, and the city is well protected. And our fire chief and fire department as well are out there doing their job. So the next item on the agenda is to set the regularly scheduled council meeting for February 17, 2025. Have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please
Actually,
say.
I have a question.
Oh, on the
That's the same
17th?
thing, I think.
Oh, the 17th.
I want to note that the 17th is a holiday. It's okay with me to be here, but I just want to make sure that we're aware that we've just set that on the President's Day holiday.
I'm okay with the 17th as well.
You are?
If there is larger concerns, then
So that's council member?
Who did the darn schedule?
me.
What's-
That's why I'm fine with it.
It's not a Thursday, so you're good.
No,
Is it?
I'm okay.
So are you all
Whoever.
treasurer? Are you good with that? You're good with everything, especially now that you're the liaison to the.
Well, this is a trial basis.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you, it's like a life of wind. So, we want to leave it for the 17th, and if we need to do anything, we could always.
My other thought with that is leaving it at the 17th. It gives us fair gaps between meetings,
Correct.
especially headed into,
I know,
yes.
yeah, the town meeting. Okay, so we'll leave it for the 17th, so I have a
We do have
motion.
hand up.
Pam has-
That's
So this is for the council to
It's a
decide
really
right now.
bad precedent.
Actually, this is for the council. So if you are all want this to happen, and have a motion and a second, after that, I'll come that way. Can I have a second? I have a motion, do I have a
I
second?
already did.
We
Okay,
have a
I didn't
motion.
hear, I didn't hear the second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Now,
That is a really bad precedent. That has been done with Martin Luther King Day. That we already know that that's under fire because of stuff that's happening at a federal level. To change a holiday in that way is a really, really dangerous precedent with what's happening now politically. And we really fought for Martin Luther King Day.
okay, so bringing it back, any further discussion here?
I'll just say that I'm given the fact that we've been through week after week after meetings right now, so the only way we should be able to shift this really is to shift to next Monday or 3 weeks from now.
What would happen on a Tuesday? Like
That's planning commission.
the 8th? No.
Well, we can,
Is there a meeting? You know, they meet.
They meet the Tuesday after we meet.
Yeah, so if I could just finish what I was saying.
sure, go ahead.
While I appreciate that it's a challenge, it seems to me that if we have a habit of not meeting on those days and the council agrees that we're going to go ahead with a meeting on that day because there are extenuating circumstances, which in my judgment there certainly are right now, that it's appropriate to move ahead. So I will vote in favor.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried, but I want everyone to just keep that open mind. If we need to change it, it could always be addressed. But right now, February 17th is the next meeting. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn at the regular council meeting at 7:30 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. The motion is carried, and I thank everybody.